Did you inform the RCMP of potentially 4 years' worth of highly confidential, relevant emails?
We are required to report potential criminality. I have no evidence of that at this time.
Thank you.
Wow.
This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
Very much. Mr. Brock, please, for 5.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Lafleur, with all due respect, your investigation in this matter is seriously flawed. You talk about your 15 years of experience working on hundreds of administrative investigations. You highlighted today in your opening statement that your key role is to ensure the integrity of the investigation, procedural fairness, and due process for those under investigation. And those under investigation have been targeted by you as Mr. Cameron McDonald and Mr. Antonio Utano. They're the only 2 individuals under investigation, and what you have done so far, sir, has done anything but to ensure procedural fairness. So much so that they've retained a lawyer, and a lawyer has brought an action in the Superior Court of Justice, and you, sir, are named as a defendant, as well as the Attorney General of Canada and the CBSA and Aaron O'Gorman, seeking declaratory relief that their rights to participate in this process has been compromised by you. You're aware of that?
I'm aware.
Right. And, sir, you don't have a legal degree, do you?
I do not.
No, and you don't understand the difference between a criminal standard of proof or a civil standard of proof, do you?
I do have some understanding of the difference.
Proof beyond a reasonable doubt on the criminal spectrum, beyond the bounds of probability on the civil spectrum. And you understand the difference between fact and allegation, don't you?
Of course.
Yet I've got access, sir, to your Project Helios preliminary statement of fact for both Cameron McDonald and Antonio Utano, and you interchange the concept of fact, which is a proven entity, and allegation. In fact, the title of the document, Project Helios, Preliminary Statement of Facts. That's misleading, and it's wrong, isn't it, sir? Because these are allegations.
So the report itself is a point-in-time document, right?
Sir? These are allegations. Allegations brought by Bottler AI. Yes or no?
There are allegations.
They're not a proven fact, are they?
They are not.
So I would suggest to you, you be much careful in the future as it relates to this investigation and other investigations, that you understand, sir, that the clear difference between an allegation and a fact, because you interchange this throughout your report. And the statement of fact and this preliminary statement of fact was ultimately sent on to the new 2 departments that Mr. McDonald and Mr. Utonio are employed by, right?
They were?
Yeah, and you expressed serious concerns, notwithstanding that nobody has been interviewed, that Mr. McDonald hasn't been interviewed, that Mr. Utano hasn't been interviewed, that Mindone hasn't been interviewed, that Aaron O'Gorman, the president of the CBSA, hasn't been interviewed. Former President John Osowski has not been interviewed. You've identified a number of key individuals you want to be interviewed, and none of them have provided you with an interview, have they?
I'm not going to speak as to...
Well, I have the information right before me, sir. It's very clear that none of them have agreed to interview with you yet.
If I could add a point of clarification there. So the report was a point-in-time...
I don't care about point in time.
On December 19th.
This is affecting the lives and the livelihood of Mr. McDonald and Mr. Utano.
So, just one moment, Mr. Brock.
Can I ask my colleague, Mr. Brock, allow the witness the same amount of time to respond?
No,
Because I'd like to hear,
Right.
the line of question is very interesting. I'd just like to hear the response.
I appreciate both of you. Stop. I've stopped the clock, but we've established in this committee it is the members' time. So please continue, Mr. Brock.
You made conclusions that were so significant that you felt that these were proven facts of serious employee misconduct, so serious that you required the RCMP to investigate at least 2 criminal charges, fraud and bribery, and then later on in this report, you declare that there's absolutely no evidence of bribery, as outlined by Bottler AI in their allegations. You remember saying that? That to date, there is no evidence of bribery? Did you actually share that with the RCMP? I bet you didn't.
That we have no,
Yeah. Did you share that with the RCMP?
we have provided information to the RCMP.
Did you share the fact that you have no evidence to support the allegation of bribery with the RCMP? Yes or no? It's a simple question, Mr. Lafleur.
I disagree. It's a yes or no question. We have provided.
Answer the question, Mr. Lafleur. Did you advise the RCMP that you uncovered no evidence of bribery? Yes or no?
The RCMP has the evidence that we have collected.
I'm going to interrupt here. We are out of time, but a very straightforward question has been put to you. Could you please respond in a yes or no fashion, Mr. Lafleur?
As to whether I've specifically told the RCMP, we have found no evidence of, I'm just seeking clarity on that.
Could you repeat the question, just a very quick
Certainly,
one?
for the 6th time, I'll repeat the question very slowly and carefully for you, Mr. Lafleur.
And be polite about it.
I will be, Mr. Chair, thank you. Bottler AI raised concerns regarding bribery involving Christian Firth and Cameron McDonald. You raised that as a significant concern in your preliminary statement of fact. Paragraph 50 of your report
Mr. Brock, the
indicates that there was no evidence to substantiate the allegation of fraud. My question is, did you share your opinion that this allegation of fraud was unsubstantiated to the RCMP, yes or no?
That's not what the report says.
Sorry?
With respect, that's not what I say in the
I can-
report.
I can read it out.
I'm
Have
going
you have no
to
evidence?
interrupt. I think we're going to get back to this in the next round, and we will re-clarify. Back to you, Mr. Brock, please.
Thank you, Chair. Paragraph 50, page 10 of the statement of fact report as it relates to Cameron McDonald is largely redacted. It starts unredacted as follows. It is important to note that the true motivation behind these actions are unclear, and that while the Bottler AI complaint appears to indicate that Christian Firth solicited a bribe for Cameron McDonald exhibit number 10, there has been no evidence gathered to date in this regard. I'll take it by your non-response, sir, that you don't want to share the truth as to whether or not that important piece of your investigation was shared with the RCMP. Now, on the issue of deleting emails, Mindone, just to clarify, has never been the subject of this particular Project Helios investigation. Is that correct?
As was published,
The investigation?
if I could answer. So
I'm asking you, is he part of the investigation or not?
on December 11th, I received allegations, as has been made public, relating to Mr. Doan.
Is he still subject of an investigation?
That review is ongoing.
That review of whether or not he's going to be the subject of an investigation is underway? So that's a possibility.
The review of the allegations we
So
received.
that's a possibility.
Correct.
Correct? Now, Mindone confirmed this, and through ATIPs delivered to CBSA has confirmed that Mindone has 4 years' worth of highly relevant, sensitive emails between the years of 2018 to 2022, which not only captures the pandemic and the ArriveCAN scandal, but as well as the Bottler AI investigations, have just mysteriously been corrupted. He's not taking responsibility for deliberately deleting that. The approximate amount of those emails is roughly 7 gigabytes or 1,700 emails. You would agree with me, sir, that emails are supposed
Sorry,
to be...
Mr. Brock.
Sorry, Spark, point of order.
Yeah.
This is your Beckerack, and I don't believe any of us has actually seen this statement of facts. Do you have a copy that you can share with us? Because we're looking for it. I don't think.
I'll address that. I'm the only one on the committee that has a copy of it.
So can we
I
have it
think Mr.
distributed so
Brock
we can?
mentioned, no, I'll discuss it on Wednesday. I think Mr. Brock indicated he received the information from 2 of our witnesses who have received it.
So we're not allowed to see it?
I'll discuss it Wednesday. But I'm the only one with the copy of it, right? Myself and the clerk are the only people with the copy of it right now. But I'll address it,
But Mr. Brock got it from a witness?
not from the committee and not from CBSA.
So how did Mr. Brock get it? It's a point of order. How is it that certain committee members are receiving it and not all committee members?
This is not a point of order, Mr. Souza. I've explained to you, I'm the only one in the committee that has a copy of it, myself and the clerk. No one else has received a committee from this
Mr. Brock
committee.
has a copy.
I'm sure Mr. Brock also has copies of ATIPs that are not sent to us. I have copies of ATIPs that have not been sent to the committee. You have emails that have not been sent to the committee because they were sent to him separately. I think Mr. Brock, at the very beginning of the meeting, if you were listening, indicated he received it from the witnesses, which I assume are Mr. McDonald and Mr. Utano, who have received a copy. So, I think it was discussed at the very beginning of the meeting. Mr. Brock, you're at 2 minutes and 10 seconds, so you have 2:50 left. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. Min Doan at the time was the vice president of the CBSA. You'd agree with me, sir, that deleting emails is an extremely serious offense.
It would be a breach of the code of conduct to willfully delete emails.
And it's incumbent on an IT professional, as Min Doan was, to protect work emails dealing with official matters, correct?
It is part of our responsibilities. Yes.
And the level of seriousness increases dependent on the position that a public servant holds. In this case, a low-level administrative data entry individual is vastly different in terms of the serious scale than the vice president of the CBSA when you reference deleting emails. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. Level-
When was the president, Aaron O'Gorman, informed about Mr. Doan's deleted emails?
We have not concluded that there were any deleted emails.
When was she informed, sir,
She was informed of the allegations when I received them,
of the deleted emails?
the allegations as I received them.
When was it?
December 11th is when I received them. I can't recall exactly which date I would have.
When was the Auditor General notified of 4 years' worth of deleted relevant emails?
Again, one point of clarification, I have no evidence that there has been deletion at this point. We are looking into the matter.
Can you answer the question, Mr. Lafleur? When was the Auditor General notified of 4 years' worth of a Vice President's deleted email account? When was she notified, and by whom?
So I can say that during our various engagements with the Office of the Auditor General, we have provided them with all of the information that we had available.
Did you inform the Auditor General yourself, sir, or someone under your control that the Auditor General received evidence of 4 years' worth of deleted emails by Min Doan, Vice President? Yes or no?
Again, I'm not sure what you're referencing. I did meet with the OAG.
Chair, can we get some clarity, please? My questions are very direct.
Yeah, Mr.
And this
Lafleur,
witness has a
we
hard
do ask
time.
you just respond and just a direct answer, please. If it's a yes or no, please a direct yes or no, but otherwise a direct answer so we can move on.
Did you notify the Auditor General of 4 years' worth of deleted emails?
I notified the Auditor General that I had received allegations to that.
And when did you notify her?
In December, after I received the allegations.
December of 23?
23.
Okay. Was the Treasury Board Secretariat informed?
No.
Did you inform the RCMP of potentially 4 years' worth of highly confidential, relevant emails?
We are required to report potential criminality. I have no evidence of that at this time.
Thank you, Mr.
Wow. No evidence
Yeah, that
of
is-
potentially
that is our time, Mr.
deliberately
Brock.
deleting emails, and that is not criminality to you?
Mr. Brock, that is our time.
Wow.
Mr. Genuis, please, for 5.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Lafleur, you're tasked with providing an investigation internally into what happened with ArriveCAN. I am interested in what seems to be the difference in the level of interest you're applying to allegations against different individuals. Your preliminary work at least seems to suggest a profound interest in allegations against Mr. McDonald and Mr. Utano, and a surprising lack of interest against Mr. Doan. I note that Mr. Doan faces serious allegations related to the deletion of documents, and that no provisional action seems to have been taken against him, while Mr. McDonald and Mr. Utano have been suspended without pay. Could you provide the committee with any explanation as to your relative much greater attention to allegations against Mr. McDonald and Mr. Utano compared to allegations against Mr. Doan?
I would disagree that there's been an undue attention given to one over the other. We received allegations from Bottler AI in November of 2022. It would be expected for that investigation to have proceeded much further than new allegations that I received in December of 2023.
Okay, so your explanation is that you received the allegations against Mr. McDonald and Mr. Utano earlier, yet Mr. Utano and Mr. McDonald received a letter notifying them of the investigations against the allegations against them on November 27th of this year. That was, again, suspiciously 20 days after their damning testimony before this committee. How are we to understand the fact that allegedly your investigation had been going on for a year, and yet they received a letter notifying them of the investigation in November of this year?
If I can have a minute perhaps to explain that timeline. So we did initiate an investigation in November 2022, considering the potential criminality. When we have interactions with police, we do respect the integrity of their investigation. And in this case, we could not proceed with interviews or with notifying the individuals under investigation with respect to the RCMP investigation. So since we're talking about the same witnesses, the same evidence, we were limited in how we can proceed without negatively impacting the RCMP investigation. That scenario changed when the Globe and Mail issued their report on October 4th of 2023, and holding back on our investigation became a moot point at that point, which is why.
And yet it was still after their testimony on November 7th. Like this, even what you just said doesn't make any sense from a timeline perspective, because the Globe story that you referenced was the beginning of October, and yet it was only after their testimony before this committee that they subsequently heard from you that they were under investigation. This whole thing is just bizarre in terms of the investigation, because you said investigation started a year ago, but somehow it was only within a couple weeks of them coming before this committee to give damning negative testimony about the government in response to questions they were asked, that they were told that they were under investigation. They were subsequently suspended without pay. Meanwhile, we have these very serious allegations against Min Doan that involve hiding information, deleting emails, and as far as I know, there's been no action taken against him. The clearest difference to me between Mr. Doan and Mr. McDonald and Utano is that Mr. McDonald and Utano gave very blunt, critical testimony, whereas Mr. Doan obfuscated, prevaricated, didn't answer questions, and gave every indication of trying to defend the party line. And I get the same impression here, that you who are subject to the leadership of CBSA are looking at one set of allegations against one set of individuals and not against others. Maybe the best way to go from that is to ask you, sir, about your own reporting chain of command. You have characterized your investigation as independent, but you're not independent, are you? You're part of the department. You're subject to the authority of the department, and you're movable, reassignable at any time. Is that correct?
Of course, I do not have the independence of the OAG or the procurement ombudsman, for example, but I do have the space and time to conduct my work independently within the agency.
Okay, you would like us to believe that you have space and time to act independently, but substantively in terms of your role, you are not independent. There are no independent attributes about your role. And you even told us that you're informally providing information to your superiors at CBSA on an ongoing basis.
To wrap up,
you are not an independent investigator. You are their investigator, subject to the authority structure within CBSA. Do you think that compromises the integrity of your investigation?
Very, very brief answer, please.
It is normal for departments to investigate matters that occurred within their departments.
Given the fact that we have more committee business to undertake, I am asking that we reserve our right to recall this witness. I think there are a lot of more questions that all members, and if the motion is passed in terms of release of documents, are going to have for this individual. Insofar as preparation of this particular meeting, every member exercises their own unique due diligence. So what I do in terms of preparation should not be the standard by which any other member should equate that to. I take this stuff very seriously, as I know my colleagues do. And there's an important point to make here. There is no proprietary interest in any witness. There is nothing preventing from any member of the Liberal bench from actually reaching out to Cameron MacDonald on the telephone call or Mr. Utano and asking pointed questions, which is precisely what I did. I spent some time with both individuals gathering information. That information, I'm not under any legal obligation to share that with opposing members.